We're live.
What is up, Nerd Nation? It's your boy Hunter here from Film Nerd TV, and tonight, in honor of Black Panther, which came out Friday night, we are doing a top 10 list. This is the top 10 MCU movies, in our personal opinions. I am not joined alone. I am joined by my co-host, as always, Chance of Time Ellison. How's it going, brother?
It's going good, man. I've had to keep running your stream. I insist on being called the executive producer of this channel, but it's going pretty good, and I'm super psyched to talk about my favorite entries in one of my favorite franchises.
Okay. And it's not just us two. We have
Right? It's
two other
not.
great guys. No, it's different. First, we have Robert
Oh
Parker.
wow.
Robert, how's it going, brother?
I'm doing good. Just same as you guys. I'm really excited to be counting down some of my favorite entries from one of my favorite franchises. So yeah, I'm ready to get into this.
Son of a bitch stole my line.
And we have another one of our friends, RJ. RJ, how's it going, man? The Red Ranger.
It's good. I just woke up from a really long nap after having a really alcoholic brunch after watching a really badass Marvel movie, which will be talked about today because that's how good it was. So let's get to it.
Drunk movies are the best movies.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
So pretty much how this is going to work is we're each going to go through our 10 through our 8, and then 7 through 5, and then 4 through 2, and then 1 apiece. So, Chance, do you want to start with your 10 through 8?
Okay, I will start. Number 10, I have Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters because I think he's just so weird and so bizarre that it makes some really cool creative storylines, some really cool, just awesome pieces of comic book art. And I think this movie did a really good job of embracing that weirdness and just putting it on full display. I think this is the most visually interesting of all the Marvel movies. And I think you get Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, which is awesome. You get Chiwetel Ejiofor, Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, which is a casting people didn't like, but she actually did a phenomenal job in the movie. And I think that this is a movie it's very visually appealing. It's very intriguing from a story perspective, and it's one of the few movies that I paid extra money to see in 3D.
Oh wow!
Number nine, I have from one weird ass Marvel movie to another. I have Ant-Man. Ant-Man. After it came out, the first movie after Age of Ultron was some big heavy shit. And coming off of this, it was smaller scale. It was a comedy, which I really liked. I really bought Paul Rudd as a hero. He also has the great addition of Michael Douglas and Hank Pym. You get Michael Pena, who so I maybe stole the show, but everyone knew he's great, so it's kind of hard to judge. I like the heist aspect. I like the whole comedy that comes with size changing. I thought that really clicked, and yeah, I think it's a great standalone movie, and I think it's a great small stakes movie. Which, when you have a character like Ant-Man, you need something that's small stakes. And at number 8, I have number 8 from one bug to another. I swear to God, it's not all like this. I have Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think we're coming out of the shadow. Of what was a failed reboot franchise. I liked it, but I know a lot of people didn't. And the fact that you were rebooting it for a third time in the past 10 years, you have a lot of baggage, and I think the fact that they were able to craft something that's true to the character and also very just a fun. It's a fun Spider-Man movie. It's probably the closest thing to a true Spider-Man movie we've ever gotten on film. And I really dig it. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he's the best Spider-Man we've ever seen on film. I love the addition of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and a great supporting role, which he adds levels and depth to any film he's in the universe. And I love Michael Keaton as the villain, maybe one of the better Marvel villains. Not maybe one of the better Marvel villains we've had. And I think it's a great story about youth. It's a great story about being a young hero in this world of in this new crazy world of all these heroes we have. It's great to see a younger point of view. So yeah, Spider-Man Hulk. So recap. My number 10, Doctor Strange. My number 9, Ant-Man, and my number 8, Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay, so Next, we're going to go on to RJ for his 10 through his 8.
All right, so mine's actually very similar to Chance's. We have two of the same ones, just different orders. First of all, I want to send out a big apology to Doctor Strange because he barely did not make the list once again because of something I just saw today. Someone had to go, and unfortunately it was him because number 10 I enjoyed more, and that was Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, everything Chance said. A lot of people were worried that we were too excited about Tom Holland in Civil War, already saying he was going to be the best Spider-Man or best Peter Parker we had seen. And I just think Spider-Man Homecoming proved it. I mean, to me, this was my problem with the original Spider-Mans. Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker. I did not like him in the costume. Andrew Garfield, I liked him in the costume. I did not like his Peter Parker at all. Tom Holland, to me, took the best parts of both. I believed him in the suit and I believed him in school. And for me especially, this is the Peter I wanted in high school, not just getting out of high school, not getting ready to go to college. I wanted high school Peter. I wanted sophomore year Peter, still figuring out his stuff and dealing with the fact that he has superpowers. A true teenager dealing with his superpowers, not a teenager going into adult. It was really fun, great humor, loved the guy in the chair. That joke was great throughout the whole way through, and yeah, it was just a delight. My number 9 probably doesn't make most people's top 10. A lot of people crap on it, and I hate that they do because I enjoyed the hell out of it, and that is Age of Ultron. I actually really enjoyed.
That was close. That's my 11. It barely missed.
And I can and like I said, for me though, I felt like it had to be in top 10 because regardless that, yes, I can admit it did not live up to the hype of Avengers. I can even admit that. But it was still gave us so much greatness. I mean, it gave us the Hulkbuster, which we're going to see again in Infinity War. So without Age of Ultron, we wouldn't have that yet. We would be waiting for it. Without that, we wouldn't have Vision. And Vision is arguably one of the better new superheroes introduced in that movie. So, and then we wouldn't have Scarlet Witch, who I think is really coming into her own in the 2 movies she's been in and the 3rd one she's about to be in. I think she's really coming into her own. And with the after Civil War, I feel like she's going to have a very prominent role in the aftermath of Civil War, just with how her storyline seems to be going. So, and regardless that he wasn't the villain I thought he was going to be, I still enjoyed James Spader's Ultron. I thought he was really well done. Kind of a little bit weird, thrown away, maybe a little too funny for a robot, but I digress. I still think it deserves top 10 recognition. And then my number 8 is Ant-Man. Biggest surprise for me. As soon as Paul Rudd was cast, I put my face in my hand. I was like, I don't see it. I can't see it. I don't get it. Because I'm not as familiar with the comics. So my Ant-Man is Hank Pym. I didn't know Scott Lang. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how Paul Rudd was going to pull this off. Then when they started adding more cast, then I started turning around to it. Then they were like, well, here comes Mike Douglas. He's going to be Hank Pym, who had previously been Ant-Man. I was like, all right, like I'm okay with that. And then Evangeline Lilly, who, I mean, automatically as soon as they added her, just knowing Ant-Man, I was like, okay, she's eventually going to be Wasp. Probably not in this movie, but she's coming in because she's going to be Wasp. And then, like he said, the crew, Michael Pena, T.I., and I can never say the last dude's name. I always forget it. He was just in the
David Edgerton, something like that.
Yeah, he was in the Velcro Experiment too, with James Gunn.
He was in the Velcro Experiment. He was also in he was also in Dark Knight.
Yeah, he was. But and he was actually also in the Gotham series as like a Joker like fanboy. If you haven't seen Gotham, by the way, you should watch it because I love Gotham. But he was really he
really shouldn't.
He had a small role in that one, and it was really good. But yeah, I mean, Ant-Man was just a big surprise, especially like he said, after Ultron, it was officially the last movie of phase 2, so it had a lot to live up to, and I think it did. I think it ended phase 2 on a good note, and I'm super excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp. And once again, they're putting him right after an Avengers movie, and I feel like he can do it because of how successful the first movie was. So yeah, so that's my bottom 3 right there.
All right. Nice choices. Okay, Robert, your turn, buddy. 10 through 8.
Yeah, 10 through 8. So real quick, spoiler alert, I have the exact same bottom 3 as RJ in a different order. The exact same. So my number 10 is Age of Ultron. This is a movie that I 100% agree deserves top 10 recognition. A lot of people crap on this movie, and I don't really get why. Like, obviously, it's not as good as Avengers, but nothing can be. To think that a sequel is going to be the same or better is just, that's bad expectations. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Not only did it expand the already star-studded like ensemble cast with Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, James Spader, Linda Cardellini as Hawkeye's wife. Like, it also gave us a lot of really, really interesting character beats, both with characters that we've seen more about. So, you know, you get more of Cap stuff when Scarlet Witch is in his head, but you also get more of characters that we haven't seen a lot from so far. The Scarlet Witch stuff, the Hawkeye stuff. You get a lot of character beats that you really enjoy. And, you know, James Spader, obviously Ultron isn't one of the best villains in the MCU, but he's nowhere near the worst either.
No.
The introduction of, right? You know, Paul Bettany as Vision. This is just a movie that I really enjoy. It's got drama, it's got great character beats, it's got comedy sewn in there, but the comedy isn't at the forefront. So I really enjoy Age of Ultron, absolutely in the top 10 for me. My number 9 is Ant-Man. Ant-Man is a movie that I had high hopes going into, not because I knew the comics, but because when I was working at the movie theater at this time when the movie came out, I had just seen the trailer before literally every movie for months and months and months and months. So my hype was really high, and it lived up to it for me. I really loved how there were a lot of heist elements. It was a heist movie, a spy heist movie inside of a superhero movie. You had a great also cast, you know, Bobby Cannavale, Corey Stoll, yeah, Yellow Jacket, again, not one of the strongest villains in the MCU, but not one of the worst either. Serviceable villain for sure. You got some Hydra stuff thrown in there as far as like impacts on the greater universe. So yeah, Ant-Man's one I really enjoy and I revisit. You know, we were all concerned when Edgar Wright was no longer on the project, but I think Peyton Reed came in and he really did this character proud. He really did a good movie here. So I really enjoy Ant-Man. That's why it's at my number 9. Which makes my number 8 Spider-Man Homecoming. I completely agree with RJ with everything he said as far as Tobey Maguire, what he does well with the character versus Andrew Garfield, what he does well with the character, and how Tom Holland kind of meshes and becomes the best of both worlds, which I think is the best part of Homecoming is really Tom Holland's performance. I mean, you have Michael Keaton in here as not necessarily a super high stakes destroy the world villain or anything, but it's high stakes in Peter's world as far as the relationships and the kind of influence that Michael Keaton's character can have on Tom Holland's Parker's life. So that's really cool. I'm not a huge fan of the big integration of Iron Man and Tony Stark as far as his influence in the movie. I don't really like Tony Stark or Iron Man as a character, which y'all are going to yell at me for, but I don't really like Iron Man as a character, so I didn't really like his addition in the movie, but I still thought, you know, as far as everybody was super nervous going into Homecoming, as far as this is the second reboot now, is this going to be good? There was a lot of high hopes, and I think Spider-Man Homecoming really lived up to them, so that's my bottom 3.
Okay, nice. So now on to me, my number 10. Besides, I'm gonna let you guys know, Age of Ultron made number 11 for me. But my number 10, I know you guys are probably gonna hate me for this. The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, 2008. Very surprising because coming after the Ang Lee Hulk, I did not have high expectations for this. I went in and I actually had a really good time with this movie. I like the different nuances that they made with the Hulk, where, you know, Edward Norton's character wears the what's it called, like the clock or whatever,
and then like a heart rate monitor,
yeah, heart rate monitor. And then when it reaches a certain level, then the Hulk comes out. I like just the whole interaction between him and Betty Ross. I even liked Abomination. He did not look. The CGI was a little weak, but I felt like it was a good, boss battle at the very end with Hulk versus Abomination. Just so much fun, and that's what I look for when I go into MCU movies, is to have a good story on top of having so much fun. And I believe this was the second MCU movie.
Yeah,
yes.
It was second.
Yep.
Yeah, so going in there, that really sets up the Avengers and all the interconnected universe with the end credit scene showing Tony Stark come in, and that's when you really see the world start growing. So number 10 for me is the Incredible Hulk. Number 9, I believe that was on Chance's list, Doctor Strange at number 9. Again, I like when you can take different genres and mix it into the comic book element. This had a lot of sci-fi elements that I liked. I love Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. I like the origin story of Stephen Strange, just the way that they work off each other. The acting was great. The action was really, really fun. And yeah, number 9 is Doctor Strange. Number 8 for me is a little different. I still enjoyed it, but Thor Ragnarok is my number 8. Had so much fun with this movie. This movie is so funny. It's so high energy. Did have a little bit of problem with them making it more of a comedy because, I've read the Ragnarok story. But I can take my way out of there and know this was a good movie. It had its dark moments. It had its humor to mix it off of it. I like that they tried to intertwine the Planet Hulk storyline with Hulk on the car and Grandmaster and all that stuff. So, yeah, so that's my number 8. So, to recap, 10, The Incredible Hulk, 9, Doctor Strange, and 8, Thor Ragnarok. All right, Chan.
I think you're the only person who's going to have Incredible Hulk on their list.
No joke. When it first came out, I thought it was a sequel.
I still really enjoy Incredible Hulk. Out of all
really?
of the Phase 1 MCU movies, it still has some of the best action. When he's on that campus taking down those helicopters, that's some great action.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No, yeah, that was a fun action. That's probably the favorite action set piece of the whole movie.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I thought
All right,
Edward Norton was fantastic, but the whole back behind the scenes stuff, I can understand.
Yeah.
He was. He just gets done. It gets done better in other movies.
Yeah. That's accurate.
All right, so you're 7 through 5.
All right. So my number 7, actually one you just talked about, and that's Thor Ragnarok. I think Thor Ragnarok is the best of all the Thor movies, because you haven't noticed, I reward weird, crazy crap, and this is what happens when you give a filmmaker as ingenious and as strange and as hilarious as Taika Waititi, and you just let him do what he wants. And I think this is the epitome of that. I think it's completely his vision. I think this is the most interesting Thor has ever been. It's probably the most interesting Hulk has ever been. Also, you also get the great additions of Jeff Goldblum and Kate Blanchett as some fun villains. Tessa Thompson is great in the movie, sets her character up really well. It does so many just fun, cool, interesting things. It was my favorite MCU movie of last year, and I think it still stands up on repeat viewings. Funny enough, I actually did see that twice in a period of 24 hours. I enjoyed it so much. My number 6 is going to be a shocker for a lot of people because I'm sure others will have it higher. It's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Captain America.
Evan.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I'm not saying I don't like that movie. I love Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I think it takes Captain America in such a new, interesting direction by taking that and putting it in a modern world and making it a cool conspiracy spy thriller. I thought that was really awesome. But I think it's Captain America because they do introduce some cool new stuff like Sam Jackson. You get some play with the Falcon. You get some more stuff with Black Widow. You introduces Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. And the only thing holding this movie back from being higher, the fact that these other movies on the list I actually enjoy more. So I fucking love Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but I do enjoy the rest of these just a bit more. And my number 5 the new kid on the block, Black Panther. I think Black Panther for me, it's a movie. It appeals more to me because like I did grow up reading the Black Panther comics. The character meant a lot to me, and the fact that he was done on screen and done with such he was done with such care and such work and such justice. It as what pays it off for me. Like Chadwick Boseman is as charismatic and as great as he was in Civil War. You have the great addition of Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger, one of aside from Loki that we've ever seen. I love the portrayal of Wakanda, the portrayal of all the different tribes, so many different aspects. The great cast of this movie, the great direction from Ryan Coogler. This movie, like it is a Black Panther movie and more. So recap. So I have Thor Ragnarok. My number 6, I have Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and my number 5, I have Black Panther.
All right. Kind of shocked me on the Winter Soldier there, but let's go on to RJ for his 7 through 5.
Yeah, talk about a shock to the system.
Yeah.
So I'm going to apologize again in advance because most people would probably think that that one of these movies would at least be in this thing, but I do not have a single Thor movie on my list. So I'm going to throw that out there right now.
Wow.
Thor didn't even make my list. So I apologize to Thor. I know you're one of the big 3, and I like you as a character. Your movies just don't do it for me like the other ones. Thor Ragnarok was great, but still not top 10 to me. So my number 7 is the new kid on the block, which is Black Panther. It may move higher just right now after the first viewing. Like I said, I literally just saw it 6 hours ago. So right now, this is where it lands. Yeah, everything Chance said. This movie was fantastic. I mean, it was a great follow-up to his introduction in Civil War. It was still good because it was a Marvel movie, but I've only seen one other Ryan Coogler movie, and that is Creed. And I still knew I was watching a Ryan Coogler movie from watching Black Panther, and that's what I enjoyed about it because that's the beauty of the newer MCUs is like, yes, it's an MCU movie, but you can tell when they bring in a great director that it still belongs to that director. And Ryan Coogler definitely owns this movie. Chadwick Boseman is fantastic as a T'Challa. His supporting cast was fantastic. Everything most critics say is true. His sister and the captain of the Al Jadari, they steal most of the scenes that they're in. They're fantastic to watch. And I think it was just a great last one before Infinity War. I think it did its job. It got everyone re-excited about the MCU to where we're going to now go into Infinity War. To avoid spoilers, the end credit scenes also, like I said, they fit with the story well, and they give us that little, just that taste of like, look, here's something because you know what's about to happen next. Not as much as people probably would have liked. Definitely not as much as I would have liked. I would have liked a little bit more setup for Infinity War, but I think it gave us that nice little, like a pinch of it. Like just that little pinch at the end just got you ready. And of course, I don't think this is a spoiler because every Marvel does it. But of course, when it's at the end that says Black Panther will return in Infinity War, it's just like, yes, that's what we needed. That's what this movie's job was to do. And we got like less than 3 months, so I'm super excited. So number 6. All I can say is come and get your love, because Guardians of the Galaxy is my number 6.
6. Wow.
And we'll get to it once I explain my 5. Once I explain my 5, you'll understand why this is only at 6. But yeah, this one, man, talk about the biggest risk Marvel took. We can say Ant-Man was a risk. We can say Doctor Strange was a risk. We can say giving Taika Waititi Thor Ragnarok was a risk. This was the risk that Marvel took, and it knocked it out of the park. Like, I don't think anyone else could have been Star-Lord other than Chris Pratt. And that opening sequence, I don't think you could have done it any better to like explain what exactly type of movie we were gonna get. I mean, just nothing beats it. It was without this, we wouldn't have Thor Ragnarok. If this movie did not succeed, Thor Ragnarok would not have been what it was. I will stand by that. that Thor Ragnarok would not be what it was if not for Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, succeeding. And yeah, the cast, the music, of course, that's what everyone loves most about it, at least in a general sense. And yeah, it's just a really fun movie. I still enjoy the hell out of it whenever I can catch it. And yeah, Dave Bautista going as Drax. I mean, he's one of the main reasons I watch the hell out of that movie every time, because I just love watching him being Drax. And you know, Groot's okay, but I'm not about Groot like everyone else is. So
no, hold on, we're about to fight over that.
I just like, I'm not part of the Groot craze. I just like, I get it. I'm not like, oh yeah, I need my Groot. Nah, I don't care. Groot's Groot. All right, so my number 5, and get ready for this because you're going to hear this name a lot after 5, and you're going to understand why Guardians of the Galaxy is so low. So my number 5 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I mean, this one was a big one for me because I love Captain America as a character. And then when they casted Johnny Storm as Captain America, I was like, no, 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 do not do this, no. And then I saw it, and then I was like, I take back everything bad I said about you, Chris Evans. I mean, it was just, for me, it was the perfect, to me, this was the first, like, Marvel movie that felt like a different movie, because it was a war movie that just happened to be about a superhero, at least in my opinion. It was a World War II movie that happened to be about a superhero. And, I mean, like I said, Chris Evans, for me, knocked it out of the park right out the gate. I believed him as Captain America. And Hugo Weaving's Red Skull, completely underused. I'm so sad it went down the way it did. Maybe all the rumors are true that he's just trapped in the Tesseract. Who knows? We'll wait for Avengers. We'll wait for Infinity War, maybe in Avengers 4 to see if that's a real thing. But yeah, like, to me, this is the greatest trilogy out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion. And this is what started it. And I think it was a great start to it. And it got progressively better. And I think people overlook it. I think people overlook his first movie a lot. So for me, it is it's definitely number 5. And like I said, get used to hearing his name a lot because we only got 4 spots left. So get used to hearing his name for the rest of my list. But yeah, so for me, it was 7 Black Panther, 6 Guardians of the Galaxy, and 5 Captain America: The First Avenger.
Okay, nice. All right, Robert, your 7 through 5.
Yeah, mad respect for putting First Avenger on there. It was 11 on my list, so it was just edged out. But I do really, I agree with everything you're saying about how that movie is really overlooked, and it shouldn't be. It's great. Let's see. So my number 7 is a movie, another recent one that there was actually a lot of controversy through, and I don't really know why, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I am a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I like it a lot. I mean, I don't think it's, like, obviously, it's clearly not top 5 for me. Number 7, it's still in the top 10. I think it was a great follow-up. I mean, it wasn't what the original Guardians was, but that's because the original Guardians blindsided everyone out of nowhere. So there was expectations going into this one where there wasn't for the first Guardians. In Guardians 2, I think James Gunn fixed, or not necessarily fixed, but did a lot of things right that are my usual biggest grievances with Marvel movies, and that's the terrible villain and lack of real stakes where characters don't stay dead, and these things like that. These are usually my biggest grievances with Marvel movies, and I think all of them were done extremely well in Guardians Volume 2. You got Kurt Russell, one of the best Marvel villains we've seen on screen as Ego. You've got the Gamora Nebula subplot, which is great. There's great comedy, obviously. James Gunn, helping that. There's going to be some of the best visuals in any Marvel movie. The first scene where they're just going on to Ego's planet, there's bubbles everywhere, just bright and colorful, just fantastic. The music, just as good as in the first one, just as much of a character in its own right. Yeah, I really like Guardians Volume 2. I know a lot of people don't, but I do really like this movie. Number 6.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I really enjoy Guardians too.
It's just not top 10 for me, but it was all right.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Number 6 for me is Black Panther, which I saw yesterday. This is a movie that, I mean, you guys have basically already said it all. Stellar cast with Chadwick Boseman, Luke Nyong'o, why am I blanking on his name? Forrest Whitaker. It's a great cast, really. And Michael B. Jordan. This is the second time that a Johnny Storm has now entered the MCU.
And been better.
And been better, yeah. But what's really interesting about Black Panther to me is the villain, Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan. He's so layered, and there are so many points in the movie when he's talking and delivering his lines, and you start to kind of agree with him. Like he's saying things that aren't just deranged and evil. He's saying things that really make sense, which is why that's what makes Black Panther so layered for me, is just watching the villain and almost rooting for him at some point, because you understand what he's going through, and you agree with some of the radical things that he might be saying. So for that reason, Black Panther is number 6 for me. Like I said, I've only seen it the once, but it did come out this weekend. So I'm not 100% sure if it'll hold up on repeat viewings. That's just one that we'll have to see as time goes by. And then my number 5 is another one that I've only seen once, and that's Thor Ragnarok. I suspect that if I rewatch this movie a couple more times, it might drop a little bit, but from the one viewing that I did have of it, it is at number 5. I mean, once again, I think Chance, you talked about it. Just the fact this is a hilarious, it's a hilarious movie. Hunter, you talked about it too. Taika Waititi is just great as far as helming the movie. I mean, his character Korg is one of the funniest MCU characters in the entire universe in the span of what, 15, 16 films.
At this point, it was,
18 actually. It's 18. I just looked at my list. In the span of 18 films, one of the funniest characters introduced in the Ragnarok. It's great. Once again, a great villain. Cate Blanchett's Hela is great. Carl Urban is hilarious in this movie. Thor Ragnarok is, it's just a really fun, enjoyable time. It may be a little bit too centered on the comedy for some, but not for me. So my 7.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Wait, can I ask? Is Thor Ragnarok on the list for you because it has 2 Middle-earth alums?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's one of the reasons. I always make the joke. I saw, it was a while ago, but I think it was when the first trailer for Thor Ragnarok dropped all that time ago, and it was like, it was the quote from Fellowship of the Ring when Saruman is talking to the orc, and he said, "Do you know how orcs were created? They were elves once, right?" But the caption was, "Do you know how Marvel villains came to be? And they were elf once." It's Hugo Weaving, Cate Blanchett, Lee Pace. They were all elves and turned into Marvel villains.
I never noticed that. That's fucking true.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Black Panther, and Thor Ragnarok.
Okay, nice. So, on to me. My number 7 might surprise some, might not surprise others. My number 7 is the first Thor movie. Came out in 2011. I don't know. I love the interaction between Thor, Loki, and Odin, the father-son dynamic. I love Thor being banished because he is too cocky. He is arrogant, and he's not taking that step to be a hero, so he gets banished to the real world. Yes, Natalie Portman and those were not as well, but just the story of Thor, the story of Odin, and the fact that Thor has to work his way back and become the hero that we know he is. While Loki, you sympathize with him and you understand why he's doing what he's doing. He just wants his father's approval. He wants to be seen as, on a level of Thor that Odin sees Thor as. And, just the story, the acting is really good. The action, when it is there, is fantastic in my opinion. So, number 7 for me is Thor. Number 6 is one that I believe all you guys already had on your list, which was Ant-Man. Yeah, as everybody pointed out, Ant-Man is a very great change of pace. It's very funny. It's very full of heist action. It's high paced, high energy. It's so much fun. yes, Yellow Jacket was kind of a weak villain in my opinion, but just from the acting, from all the effects that they had with the tiny machines and stuff, I just had so much fun with this movie. So Ant-Man is my number 6, and my number 5, I believe most of you guys have on your list already. Spider-Man: Homecoming is my number 5. I went into this movie not expecting much because coming off of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and then Spider-Man 3 previously, and the fact that you're rebooting this character for the third time already, you know, I was kind of nervous walking into the theater. Walking out, I had a feeling that this is one of the best Peter Parkers and Spider-Mans, because Tom Holland, like when he's in the suit, he has that, in my opinion, what Spider-Man is, which is he's very funny. He throws a lot of quips, and he uses that to distract his opponents to where he can beat him down. And that's what Tom Holland brings to the Spider-Man character. He's also a great Peter Parker because he is in high school. He's dealing with a lot of high school issues, and he is kind of that quiet, shy nerd. So in my opinion, he's the best of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield mixed into one to make the best Spider-Man / Peter Parker. I also love how this movie did feel like a John Hughes coming of age movie with the Ferris Bueller Days Off references and all the high school drama and the comedy mixed in with there. And Michael Keaton as the Vulture was a great villain, one of the best Marvel villains in my opinion. So yes, number 5 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. So for me, 7 is Thor 2011, 6 is Ant-Man, and number 5 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. All right, Chance, your 4 through 2.
All right. I guess I'll put back on my list real quick. I think I had. Okay, yeah. All right. My number 4 is one that also might shock some people, but other people some might not. My number 4 is Captain America: Civil War. Captain America: Civil War. I think.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I love Age of Ultron. I think this was a better Avengers sequel. I thought it was a great scaled down version of the Civil War story, which I did love in the comics. This is what introduced you to Black Panther. This is what introduced you to Spider-Man. I loved the addition of Tony Stark. I loved Tony Stark's arc in this movie. I thought he was fantastic, especially because this is a character we've known for so long, and to see him play in a role where he's essentially the villain, I thought was really interesting. I think the character actors are done phenomenally well. I think, and that airport action sequence is one of the best pieces of superhero action ever put to film. So yeah, my number 4 is Captain America: Civil War. Great film. See it tons of times. I'll see it tons of times more. My number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first one. This was Marvel's. I think this is their biggest risk because they had to make this movie essentially. They had to make a movie featuring characters that were established. They're D-list characters that were established in the '60s, especially. They were from Stan Lee's acid trip minds. Let's try this, and to have it come through and have it have so much heart and have so much heart and be so fun, especially to people who even if you don't follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe enough, you can come in this movie, you can still watch it as a great sci-fi epic movie. I think that's what pushes this over the edge for me. Like RJ said, Chris Pratt was the perfect Star-Lord, and even James Gunn knew that. James Gunn's in interviews 30 seconds into the audition, I knew Chris Pratt was our perfect Star-Lord. Bradley Cooper was great as Rocket Raccoon. And also Vin Diesel gets me to cry in this movie, which, hey, that's if any movie that can accomplish that, it deserves props from me. My number 2, I know Robert's actually going to yell at me. My number 2 is the first Iron Man. It's Iron Man. It took me a revisit, but I didn't realize just how brilliant that movie is. From the portrayal of Tony Stark, which I think Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark is one of the best superhero portrayals ever put to film. I can't think of another. Well, I can't think of it, but that's one of the cases of perfect blending of actor and character. You have Tony Stark, you have Jeff Bridges, an awesome bad guy, and you have I think the MCU works best when you have stories that are streamlined and they are personal and they do deal with a lot of character growth. Like to see Tony Stark go from a guy who could not care less to a guy who absolutely gives a shit. I thought that was a phenomenally done arc. And the fact that you're so interested in this character that the second act is literally him building shit in his garage. And it's still interesting to watch and it's still entertaining. I think is a testament to the filmmaking in general and the fact that it started all that. And that post-credit scene where it's literally Sam Jackson coming out and being like, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. That psyched all us big fanboys up to be like, oh shit, it's actually happening. Iron Man was the one that kicked off this whole cinematic universe, and I think it still stands out as a phenomenal character piece, a phenomenal film today. So my number 4, Captain America Civil War. My number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. And my number 2, Iron Man.
All right, nice. All right, RJ, your 4 through 2.
All right, so I'll apologize to Robert too because unfortunately a top 10 list cannot not feature this movie. So my number 4 is once again Iron Man. I mean it started it. This in itself was a risk too because Iron Man. I mean I don't know about anybody younger than me or older, but my only knowledge of Iron Man was through the Spider-Man cartoon that was on Fox Kids in the late 90s. He had a couple of cameos in there, and then he had his own show as a spin-off of that, which I didn't really watch. That was my only knowledge of Iron Man. But for them to take this risk of like, we want to try to make this superhero universe, we need a character to introduce first. I think they made a great choice with let's take the guy, like Batman's really popular right now. Who do we got that's closest to him? We got Iron Man. Let's do it. And they pulled it off really well. Like you said, of course, Robert Downey Jr., I don't think anyone can deny the perfect casting that goes into that. He is Tony Stark. He will be Tony Stark for 50 years until maybe when we're like 80 years old, all of a sudden we hear about a new Iron Man movie coming out. And at 80 years old, we're going to go watch it and see if that guy could do a better job than Robert Downey Jr. in it. Because in our minds, no one could have or ever will do it better. But yeah, I mean, and like he said, it was just watching a guy build stuff in his garage, and it was still very engaging. I liked his villain. A lot of people didn't like Obadiah Stane. I thought he was a great villain. He was a perfect villain for that first movie. You know, just the underhanded father figure who you're trying to do something good, and he's like, no, we're going to make our money.
And Jeff Bridges does not get enough credit for how good a performance he gives in that movie.
I don't think he does either. I didn't even know it was Jeff Bridges until the credits. It took me a while to recognize Jeff Bridges. I'm not used to bald Jeff Bridges. Couldn't pull it. But yeah, so Iron Man number 4. My number 3 is Captain America Winter Soldier. This was the best possible follow-up you could have to the first Captain America. I mean, to take the good old American boy, the one of like, I want to fight for my country, and I believe that, you know, that the people in charge of me, whatever they say is the right thing to do. And to put him in the storyline where he has to question everything he's ever known after being frozen. So he is still technically that same guy after being frozen for that many years. So in his mind, nothing should have changed. The American way should still be the American way. And to put him in a situation where he has to question everything he knows, and not only that, but then you make one of the main antagonists his best friend, who, when you watch, once again, going back to Captain America, when he loses Bucky, I don't know about you guys, but I felt it. I felt it hard when he lost Bucky. And all he wanted to do was get drunk and mad, and he couldn't do it. Obviously because of his superpowers, but still, like, he couldn't mourn his friend like he wanted to. And then seeing everything else gone, and then realizing, hey, not only is your best friend alive, but he's over there shooting at you. The the way Chris Evans portrays that hurt and that conflict in himself of what to do, I just thought was top notch. If this movie was turned into a comic book, this would have been called Captain America and Black Widow, because she did fantastic in this movie. I understand why her name couldn't be in the title, but if this was transformed into a comic, I can already see it like the old comics back in the day. It would have been Captain America and Black Widow, and then there would have been a little thing on the side introducing the Falcon.
RJ, it's actually based off a comic book, same title.
Oh, well then I haven't seen it. I only watch movies. I don't read comics, so my bad. But yeah, I mean, this to me just worked really well. Like I said, Scarlett Johansson killed it in her Black Widow role. Like, I feel like what they wanted her to be in Iron Man 2, this is what she was in Winter Soldier. She was like obviously she had to be introduced before Avengers. They wanted to introduce her first, just like they did Hawkeye. So I get that, but this is where she really shined to me for the first real time away from all the Avengers. Like, I could have easily seen this movie being Captain America and Black Widow and give her like a couple of extra side scenes to make it equal between them, and it would have been great. But yeah, so Winter Soldier, yeah, that's my number 3. So my number 2 is the Avengers. I mean, God, I remember sitting in that theater just after what? I can't remember, 2012. So after 4 years.
It was 4 years. 4 years.
So after 4 years of the teasing, for lack of a better word, of like, since Iron Man 1, when Avengers Initiative was said in the post-credit scene, and it was like, no way they're going to pull this off. Then we get Thor. First we got Incredible Hulk. Then we got Thor. Then we got Captain America. And it was like, and then of course, in Iron Man 2, you got Black Widow introduced. In Thor, you got Hawkeye introduced, which Hawkeye was the only real Avenger I knew, because once again, my only introduction to the Avengers was the late 90s, early 2000s Fox Kids show they had, which is where it was more like the original Avengers, where Ant-Man was the leader, and it was him, Wasp, Wonder Man, Tiger, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and Hawkeye. That was the Avengers. So that's the Avengers I knew. So in the introduction of Hawkeye, I was finally like, now I know where we are. Like, I was like, there's an Avenger I know. But yeah, I mean, you can't deny what Avengers did and what it kept going. If Avengers had failed, they probably would have ended the MCU right there. It would have ended it. They wouldn't have made Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Winter Soldier. They wouldn't have made anything else if Avengers didn't fail, and it did it. They pulled it off with flying colors. You had to recast Hulk, which was a big risk for something you wanted to continue in the movie, and I think Mark Ruffalo pulled it off very well. Honestly, I can't even see Edward Norton in Thor Ragnarok, so I'm glad they were able to get Mark Ruffalo. And yeah, I mean, Avengers was just it is a great movie. Love to catch it every time it's on. And I mean, come on, the circle shot of them finally assembling. I mean, it's by far probably the greatest shot in the MCU so far. So yeah, so number 4, Iron Man. Number 3, Winter Soldier. Number 2, Avengers. Chance, how dare you? Because you already know what number 1 is after all that.
All right. Robert, your turn, buddy. 4 through 2.
All right, yeah. So since both Chance and RJ have given me crap about it, no, Iron Man is not on my list. There are no Iron Man movies in the top 10.
Because
if you haven't figured that out yet, I think the first Iron Man is fine. I think it's serviceable. I think it does a lot of things that set up the rest of the MCU, and it's very, very important. But I also think it sets up some of the bad stuff about the MCU, like every single villain being a carbon copy of the hero. I think it kind of did that first, and we've still struggled to get out of that. Anyways, so my number 4, RJ, you're going to hate me, is Captain America Civil War.
God damn all of you.
RJ is proceeding to BS with the chair.
Yep. So Captain America Civil War is a great movie. Like Chance said, it's basically an Avengers follow-up. It's fantastic star-studded cast, ensemble cast. I think why this movie isn't higher than number 4 for me is I do have some problems with it. As far specifically with the villain, like Baron Zemo could have been used either better or not used at all and just make it a Civil War movie. I think they tried to do both, and I didn't really like that. I think I would have rather have seen just a movie of Iron Man and Captain America and their teams fighting off and make that the Civil War movie and do Zemo in a different movie. But I think
in Soviet Russia we use reel to reel.
Yes, we eat borscht and we use the Baron Zemo. But yeah, they use Zemo, and I think Daniel Bruhl is really good as Baron Zemo. But I think he was a little bit underutilized.
I also like how his whole plan was coming back to coming back to a place and just knowing that they had a VHS player around somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow Mission Report December 16, 1991 eventually paid off for him. Like, I do really love Civil War, and I love all of the heroes, and I love the conflicting aspects. But I think Zemo was a little bit weak and was used a little poorly, and is like, it's not like you can suspend your disbelief. It's not like supervillain plans have to be exactly laid out, but it was a little bit too much suspension of disbelief for me. So that's why Civil War is at 4 and not any higher. For me, number 3 is Avengers. I mean, what can be said that hasn't already been said? If Avengers doesn't happen, we aren't still in this bubble of superhero films that we are in now and have been since the early 2000s. Avengers prolonged that life, for better or worse, for the MCU in general. And it's great. It's great seeing these characters banter off each other and not really agree, and then unite around Coulson's death and go kick Loki's butt. It's great action. It's great humor. It's great character moments. So that's why Avengers is number 3. My number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the biggest risks, some of the biggest rewards out of any MCU movie. I've seen this one the most. I saw it like 8 times in theaters. This is a movie I love. I love the humor. I love the visuals. I love the cast. I love the character moments. This Guardians of the Galaxy is great, and it's number 2 for me.
Okay, well, I'm going to have both Robert and RJ hate me because Guardians just missed it, and so did Civil War. But
you son of a bitch. But Justice League is great.
I never said it was great. But
yes, you did.
My number 4.
You implied it.
Well, I'm gonna have Robert hate me twice. Number 4 is Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie.
I don't hate Iron Man. I don't completely disagree. Robert, maybe is spot on the list.
You hate Iron Man, and you hate Toy Story 3, and you hate fun, and you hate everything that's not Middle Earth.
I do hate Toy Story 3, and I do hate Iron Man 2, and I hate Iron Man 3. But the first Iron Man is fine.
Why do you hate fun? Why do you hate fun?
Wait. I want to ask you something real quick before we go back to Hunter. You hate both Iron Man sequels, but which is worse?
2 is worse.
Damn it!
Yeah, 2.
Iron Man 2 is worse. Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is not good. I do not like Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 2 is worse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, back to you. Aaron. Tell us how good Justice League is.
Wrong list. But number 4 is Iron Man. As these guys pointed out, if Iron Man didn't work, we would probably not have Avengers. We probably wouldn't have the MCU in general. If it had failed, we probably wouldn't have had all these movies that we love. But other than that, I do feel like it's a great story. It's a great origin story. You start off hating Tony Stark because he's this loud, obnoxious asshole. But then as the story goes along, you really understand why he became that way and what drives him to, keep upping his technology, keep upping himself. Jeff Bridges as the villain, he was okay. Jeff Bridges performed so well in this movie. But I just wish we had some more details put into the villain. But other than that, like Robert Downey Jr. played an amazing Tony Stark. Pretty much the dude's life before Iron Man was the life of Tony Stark. So it was a natural transition, and yeah, just Iron Man was just a great movie, and that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is The Avengers. As everybody pointed out, I'm not going to sound like a broken record. The culmination of, what was it? 6 movies?
5 before.
5.
And it worked so well. Everybody got their time to express themselves. And as RJ pointed out, that circle scene was just incredible. The music hits up. You are in the theaters, and you are just excited to see the Avengers for the very first time. Loki was awesome as always. Yeah, so I absolutely love this movie. So Avengers for me is number 3. Number 2, people are going to say it's too high, but I've already seen it twice already. Black Panther. Black Panther is my number 2.
You have Black Panther higher on your list than an actual black person.
That's
Black Panther higher on your list than Avengers. That's a shocking.
I respect it. I mean, granted, it's been out for 2 days, but I respect it.
Hey.
Yeah, I know, right? 2 days is all it takes to be number 2 on the list.
Yeah,
like
go for it.
I went back and saw it Saturday night. I saw it last night. And for me, a test of a good movie is when I go in for the first time and I love it. And I come back the next time and see it again. And I notice something different every time that makes the movie even better. I love the world of Wakanda. I love, Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. I love how he is trying to not only be the Black Panther, but be different from his father. He has to run Wakanda as the king, and then he wants to be a better king. He wants to be a better Black Panther. I love Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger, one of the best Marvel villains, in my opinion, because you understand where he's coming from. Everything he says, you agree with him because it's like he's not wrong. It's like Magneto. You see where Magneto's coming from and why he's doing it, but he's doing it in the complete opposite way. So yes, I love Michael B. Jordan. He plays this character so well. And the supporting cast, his sister steals the show. The interaction between her and T'Challa is, it's civil rivalry, and it's, banter back and forth, something that you would do with your younger sister, which I know I have a young sister, and how they fight off each other. But at the end, they really do care about each other. I can go all day about how much I love this movie, and that's why it's my number 2, because I can go back and notice new things that make the movie so much better. All right, so now our number 1. This should be a very interesting. Chance, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is Thor: The Dark World. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. It's not Thor: The Dark World. No, it's already been talked about, I think, 3 times already. But my number 1 is actually The Avengers. And the reason this stands out as number 1 to me, because I never thought a movie like this could exist. You had the Universal monsters in the 40s, and those were, aside from that, time where you have a movie where all the main characters were already established in other movies together. And those are because, they've been trying to do this a lot. And, you did have X-Men, but that was already an ensemble piece to begin with. And, they tried to do Justice League, and that kept falling apart thanks to, writer strikes and everything like that. But I think this is one of the most ambitious movies I've ever seen. And normally a movie like that with, a movie like this with such high concepts and with 4 years of build, normally something like this would disappoint to no end. But the fact that it did come out, and not only was it good, but it was great. It's amazing to me. Everybody in the cast just clicks. you have like I like that everybody interacts in different ways. I love the new addition of Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. I think the best Bruce Banner's ever put to film, the best Bruce Banner we've had since Bill Bixby in the Incredible Hulk TV series. I think the action's great. It's shot really well, and I like that it's varied, and I like the way it's executed as an action set piece. I think Tom Hiddleston as Loki was fantastic in this film. This is the last chance he had to actually be like an outright villain before he sort of became an anti-hero in later movies. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
And I think the score is fantastic, and I think overall I reward this movie more. Because like up until Guardians of the Galaxy, this was Marvel's big risk. I mean, this could have gone wrong so many ways, and the fact that it didn't, and not only did not go wrong, but the fact that it was a great movie overall, I think it puts it over the edge for me. I think it's a great achievement in filmmaking. I think it's a great achievement in comic book filmmaking, and I will say it like till the day I die, and I'm marking it right here for the first time on live YouTube. This is the best comic book superhero movie. This is the best comic book movie ever made. Dark Knight, fuck that. Logan, bullshit. Avengers #1 all day.
Oh, wow. Okay, so chances #1 is the Avengers. RJ, I think I know where you're going. We #1, but go ahead and say it.
I know where ours is. We all know where ours is going.
Yeah, because the correct answer for the #1 Marvel movie is Captain America: Civil War. How dare all of you? How dare every single one of you? Y'all need to go in the corner and think about what you've done.
You don't know
what the Russo brothers did is nothing short of fantastic. But no, I mean, Captain America: Civil War, the only movie I have seen twice in the theaters. The only MCU movie I have actually gone to the theater to see.
Really?
Twice.
Really?
Yeah, the only MCU movie that I've gone to see twice.
I thought
Probably Black Panther will be the second.
Wow.
Yeah.
But like I said, you also have to understand, like I said earlier, Captain America's trilogy to me is the trilogy of the MCU. This is the best trilogy in the MCU aside, because every movie got better than the next. It never took a down step. What the Russo brothers were able to do with the concept of, look, we're basically giving you guys the Avengers, but you have to make this movie about Captain America. And to me, this is still Captain America's movie, and it was great. What they did with how they made the Civil War concept, because we know that in the comic books, well, y'all probably know more than me. Like I said, I don't know a lot. I just try to do some research. That with the whole thing in Civil War, it's more about all superheroes basically registering their powers. We have no secret identities. In this world, that's not the problem. So there are no secret identities. Everyone knows who these guys are. So first of all, that already, taking that concept and changing it to fit this world was already well done. Made it about control. And like I already said, this just built on what I already loved about Winter Soldier, about Captain America having to question everything he ever knew. And they took it to the next step about I had to turn my back on S.H.I.E.L.D. Whatever, fine. Now you're asking me to turn my back on the world that I've sworn to protect? That ain't gonna fly. And first thing I'm gonna do after I get into everything else is I'm gonna defend Zemo, because I get it. He was not everybody's favorite villain, but to me, everyone just overlooks what he actually did. Like, I get it. He wasn't the Zemo we all wanted, because I've seen Zemo in the cartoons and everything. I get it. He's supposed to be a bigger villain. But he was the catalyst to everything. We would not have had any of these reasons for them to throw down if not for this. They threw down because of everything he set into motion. There would have been no need for the airport scene if they did not have to get to Siberia to stop Zemo. There would not have been an epic battle at the end between Captain America and Bucky and Iron Man had he not shown the film. Because you know why? Because that's what he did. What did he want to do? He wanted to tear the Avengers apart. And what did he do? What did he go out and do? He knew that Captain America, everyone knew that Captain America had his thing for the Winter Soldier. So what did he do? I'm going to go find something on the Winter Soldier that's going to make everybody turn on him and make everybody turn on Cap because he's still going to want to protect him. Because as the special forces that I am, my duty is to find the weakness in my enemy. And what is his weakness? Winter Soldier. That was his weakness. That's what I need to do, because what's the Avengers' weakness? Is the fact that if you break them apart, they will kick each other's asses. And that's exactly what he did. Now, granted, I get you. At the end, what do you mean convenience of a VHS? It's an abandoned Russian thing. Of course there's a VHS in there. That was the technology of the time. Of course there's an abandoned.
I mean, like I said, like in Soviet Russia, we use reel to reel.
Either way, like I said, I'll defend Zemo to the death. That he did his job. I get it. He may have been underused, but he still served a purpose. And then come on. How can y'all talk about Spider-Man and Black Panther loving these movies and not recognize the fact that without Civil War, we wouldn't even know who these guys are yet?
First doesn't mean best. Civil
War was the reason to get Spider-Man back into the MCU. That movie is the reason that Disney not fought, but the reason they were like, hey, we could really use Spider-Man in the MCU right about now. And that's what got it. And the introduction of Black Panther, like I said earlier, talking about Black Panther and Spider-Man, their introductions were amazing in the 10 to 15 minutes they each had in that movie. Don't even get me started about the airport scene, because that is the greatest superhero scene ever. I'll fight that with anything. That 18-minute fight is the best superhero fight scene that has ever been put to film. Even better than the Battle of New York. And I'll defend that to the death. Because it was more real. Whatever. I'm going to stop talking about it because I know I'm going long. But yes, Civil War is the #1 movie for me.
Let me put something. You
said
that
before we go to Robert, let me just say, I said some harsh words about The Dark Knight and Logan. I love both those movies, but I think Avengers is better. Anyways, going to Roberts.
All right, so my #1 might be a little bit of a twist from what you guys might be thinking. My #1 is actually 2015's Fantastic Four. So,
oh fuck! I'm about to fight you with this computer.
No. I just had
to
do
a whole talk about that. We could do a whole talk about that movie. Oh god.
All right, so what Josh Trank was able to do is no. Okay, no, I'm done. So no, my #1 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie is a spy thriller inside a superhero movie. It is a superhero movie that it turns the genre on its head as far as just the universe. It's a movie about the character of Captain America, who was this red-blooded American who believes in righteousness and justice and truth. But then everything he looks up to, what the organization that oversees him, is evil. It's Hydra. S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra. And that spoiler, it came out 4 years ago.
You've seen it by now.
Yeah, if you had time to see Black Panther twice, you can see a movie that came out 4 years ago. But
no, not from.
No, I know. So Winter Soldier is just a movie that a character as pure as Captain America, having him question his own government, his own leadership, his own oversight. This is what really lays the groundwork for Civil War. This is just a really interesting exploration of his character. The Bucky reveal is flooring. I remember I saw that opening night and I was speechless. I could not even process. No, I don't. The only
you really didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't. The only two.
Because for me, speaking for me, because I read the comics, I knew that reveal was coming, so that's That's why
the only two.
It's still a good reveal. It's still a good reveal. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
The only two characters I've ever read a comic book for are Batman and Spider-Man.
Okay. Figures.
But that reveal is great. It's a really interesting villain that isn't just a carbon copy of the hero, which is what a lot of these MCU movies suffer from. Robert Redford is a layered and intriguing, not just like physically imposing villain, but a mentally and politically imposing villain, which is something that I think is really interesting. So it's not just a MCU beat 'em up movie like something like an Iron Man or a Thor. It is really a little bit more mental. It's a little bit more taxing in that sense, which is something I really like. So it took a new direction. It laid the groundwork for Civil War and Age of Ultron and everything and Age of Ultron and everything to come after. So this is where the MCU took a turning point, and that's why Winter Soldier is #1 in my book.
Okay, nice. Now on to me. The greatest MCU movie of all time is Justice League, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Yes, it's Justice
And with that, Hunter, exit the call.
No, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sucks, Hunter. Get over it.
For real though. It's Iron Man 2. Come on, guys.
Wow. No.
No.
Okay, I'm like,
for
you
real.
serious? I buy it. Like,
#1 is, I agree, Robert, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. For me, everything Robert just said and more. I love the new twist. I love, how it took the spy thriller, and really the fact that it took the spy thriller genre and mixed it so well with the comic genre is amazing in itself. But the comedy worked, the action was, spot on, fantastic. Hell, you have GSP in that movie, and that just puts it up there for me also. But yeah, just the villain was great. Black Widow kicked so much ass in this movie, and as Robert and everyone brought up, the fact that you take Captain America, who's supposed to be this, this poster child for America, and he believes in what he's doing. He's a soldier. He believes in what America is about, freedom. And then you look at on his eyes like, okay, the government is not as good as he thought it was, and that SHIELD is actually being run by Hydra, and how he has to deal with that situation of the thing that, I look up to, the thing that I believe in is not the truth. You get a really good dramatic thought about what's going on through Captain America's eyes. I love Bucky. I love the Winter Soldier. I love that great reveal. I knew it already growing up around comics, but the way that they did it was so, it seamlessly fit in the movie so well. It wasn't just a random reveal. It did work so well, and that's why Captain America's The Winter Soldier is #1 for me. Everything worked well, from the humor to the action to the great dramatic moments. Okay. So yeah, that was our top 10 MCU movies. A lot of you are not going to agree with us in the comments, but it's our opinions. All right, so let's start off with Robert. Do you want to plug anything before we head out?
Not really. I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. It's my first and last name plus a year. Other than that, no other social media to plug. Check out all the other stuff on Film Nerd TV. Check out Worldwide Movie Games. Check out Jackable Trivia. All of the good things on the interwebs.
Okay, RJ.
You can find me sometimes on Full Metal Media, of course. Me and Jeremy are actually going to be launching a new show this coming week, so look out for that. Then I'm also going to plug the right list. This is the correct list for the show, just saying. This is the correct list right here. And that's about it.
okay.
All right, Chance.
Yeah, lots of stuff. One of my movie games, Jackable Trivia, which I compete in a ton of. Also, Full Metal Media. I host a show on there called Full Metal 5, which these guys have been on a couple times. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChanceWars91, Stardust at ChanceT83, and on my YouTube channel at Chance the Critic. My review for Black Panther is up right now. You can go check that out.
Okay, and you guys can like, share, and subscribe to Film Nerd TV. Check out Patreon, patreon.com/FilmNerdTV. Come on, guys, I gotta eat. And check out Stardust, just Film Nerd TV. Okay, guys, thank you all for joining us tonight for our top 10 MCU movies, and I will have a review for Black Panther sometime tomorrow. Peace, guys.